Put on your learning cap because I'm about to teach you everything you need to know about one of the most versatile and powerful characters that Genshin Impact has to offer. Today I'm going to cover the who, what, and how of the Dendro Archon, Nahida. By the end of this video, you will know if she is worth spending your precious Primogems on, so stick around. Before today's class on Nahida 101 begins, you must complete your first assignment. Write in the comments who your favorite character is. I'll start. Okay, now your turn. Go ahead, I'll wait. And don't worry, you can't fail this assignment. Any character will do. Well, except for Kaya. I swear, I better not see any comments saying anything about Captain Sussy. Okay, now let's get into it. Going to try to leave out as many spoilers as I can for anyone who hasn't completed the Sumeru Archon quest yet. So who is Nahida? She's a very powerful 5-star character with some unique abilities. Other than being Teyvat's favorite swinger. No, not that kind of swinger. She's also the god of wisdom. Like the other 7 Archons, she has a couple of names and titles. Booer also goes by Lesser Lord Kusanali, but in her current vessel, she prefers Nahida. Nahida watches over the whole of Sumeru from her sanctuary, although when you first enter Sumeru City, you discover that the people would prefer to have their original Archon back. 500 years ago, during the Cataclysm, the then Archon of Sumeru had to sacrifice herself in order to save everyone from total annihilation. Greater Lord Rukkhadevata also held the title of God of Wisdom. Just before her death, she created her next incarnation, Lesser Lord Kusanali. After the chaos ended, the people of Sumeru went to find their beloved Archon and savior, but were very disappointed in what they found. When they found their new Archon, she had forgotten everything that she once knew. The highest authority in Sumeru, the sages, didn't know what to do. Their god of wisdom is no more. Instead, they were left with this essentially empty vessel. So what did they do? Lock Nahida up in her sanctuary, of course. There she lay, in a dreamlike state for 500 years, without any contact from the outside world. The people of Sumeru knew of Greater Lord Rukkhadevata's sacrifice and cherished her for it. They kept on worshipping Greater Lord Rukkhadevata, hardly ever even mentioning their new Archon, Lesser Lord Kusanali. Even though the sages have attempted to keep Nahida in the dark for all these years, she has found a way to learn about the world and connect with the people of Sumeru in a very unique way. It is here, in Sumeru City, that you will first meet Nahida. I don't want to give away any more spoilers, but I sense that you're still curious, so you're going to want to watch this short trailer. If you've already watched it, then feel free to use the timestamps below, but don't go anywhere. You definitely don't want to miss anything.
When I woke up, I was riding in a flower carriage. I just had a dream. I dreamed it was my birthday. In the dream, the Knight of Flowers and his retainers found me. Oh, Archon, we finally found you. The people can't wait to meet you. The Sabzerus festival began, and everyone smiled as they gathered around me. Finally, I got back on the carriage and waved goodbye. When I woke up, I was riding in a flower carriage. I just had a dream. I dreamed it was my birthday. In the dream, the Knight of Flowers and his retainers found me. Oh, Archon, we finally found you. The people can't wait to meet you. The Sabzerus festival began, and everyone smiled as they gathered around me. Finally, I got back on the carriage and waved goodbye. When I woke up, I was riding in the flower carriage. I just had a dream. I dreamed it was my birthday. In the dream, the Knight of Flowers and his retainers found me. Oh, Archon, we finally found you. The people can't wait to meet you. The Sabzerus festival began, and everyone smiled as they gathered around me. Finally, I got back on the carriage and waved goodbye. When I woke up, I was riding in a flower carriage. It was my birthday. Happy birthday, Nahida.
So now that you know who Nahida is, you're probably wondering how she works. Her normal attack, Akara, can perform up to 4 Dendro attacks to any opponent in front of her in a small range. I think she has one of the best attack animations. She basically plays hopscotch while fighting monsters. Her charged attack can also strike multiple enemies. She does this by creating a box of Dendro and then imploding that box on her enemies. Next up is her skill, All Schemes to Know. This skill is very unique and can be used in 3 different ways. Tapping the skill, she flings around some vines made up of karmic bonds of wood and tree, which wrap around enemies. These enemies will take some initial Dendro damage, then will be marked with the seed of Skanta. She can mark up to 8 enemies at a time in this way. The enemies will stay marked for 25 seconds, and whenever you trigger an elemental reaction on at least one of them, including if they take damage from Dendro cores, Nahida will deal extra damage to all linked enemies. This extra damage can happen every 2.5 seconds, and even works while Nahida is off field. This extra damage is called Tri-Karma Purification, and it's the main way that Nahida deals damage. Her skill can also be held, which allows you to mark enemies within a pretty decent range, and will deal increased Dendro damage compared to tapping her skill. If one of the vine-linked enemies moves too far from the group, they will no longer be connected to the rest of the group, but will still be marked with the seed of Skanta. This means that they won't take Tri-Karma Purification damage when you trigger an elemental reaction on the rest of the group. They do have to be pretty far away for this to happen, so it doesn't happen all that often, and this limitation is usually only encountered in the overworld, albeit pretty rarely. And finally, you can use her skill to collect various materials throughout your travels. You can even read minds with it. That's right, Nahida's a psychic.
If I can become someone like Candace, then I won't need to be scared of sandstorms.
To increase Nahida's combat effectiveness, it is a good idea to load her up with a lot of elemental mastery. Her second passive talent, Awakening Elucidated, will increase both the damage and crit rate of Tri-Karma Purification. In order to receive the maximum 80% damage and 24% crit rate bonuses, you need to have 1000 elemental mastery on Nahida. However, because of how her burst works, you don't necessarily have to get all of this EM from just the artifacts alone. Her burst, Illusory Heart, is also quite unique. Unlike most characters' burst, Nahida doesn't do any damage or provide any healing. Instead, it can give several different bonuses to her and the rest of the team. Her burst summons a massive dome, the Shrine of Maya. This has a very wide range, so you hardly ever have to worry about leaving its field. While under the shrine, depending on the elemental makeup of the team, you will receive different bonuses. You can increase these bonuses by having more than one character with that element in the group. For example, you can increase your Tri-Karma Purification damage by having a Pyro character in the team. If you have 2 Pyro characters in the team, you will receive the maximum damage bonus. If you max out her burst, at rank 10 it will provide up to a 40% damage boost in this way. Because Tri-Karma Purification has a 2.5 second cooldown, and this is the main way Nahida deals damage, wouldn't it be nice if you could reduce this cooldown and make it attack a little more often? Well, you can. All you need is 1 or 2 Electro characters in the group. Again, if you increase Nahida's burst to rank 10, the lowest cooldown you can get is 1.83 seconds with 2 Electro characters. Nahida's burst lasts for 15 seconds, but guess what? That's right, you can extend its duration by having Hydro units in the team. The maximum extension you can receive is 9.03 seconds by having 2 Hydro characters in the group, as long as the burst is rank 10 of course. Unfortunately, her burst doesn't give a bonus for having Dendro units in the team. The final bonus that her burst provides applies to everyone in the group, regardless of their type of element. This bonus comes from her passive talent, Compassion Illuminated. This will increase the active character's elemental mastery by up to 250. You need 1000 elemental mastery on someone to receive the maximum bonus. So that was a lot of information, but basically what you need to remember with Nahida is that most of her damage doesn't come from her skill directly, but from the Tri-Karma Purification damage that is caused when you create an elemental reaction on an affected enemy. Her burst is mostly used to boost the elemental mastery of the active character and boost her Tri-Karma Tri-Karma purification in a variety of ways. So now you might be wondering, what artifacts work best on her? Luckily, she is quite versatile, so you don't really need any specific set on her. However, it is highly recommended that you use Deepwood Memories. At the very least, someone else in the group should have this artifact set on them to shred the enemy's Dendro resistance. Nahida's main stat is Elemental Mastery, so any artifact set that increases this works great. And keep in mind that she receives a damage and crit rate boost to her Tri-Karma purification damage based on how much elemental mastery she has. So it's always best to prioritize EM above all else. This flexibility makes her one of the easiest characters to build. If you are using Nahida on field, then the Gilded Dream set works wonders. So because her two ideal artifact sets come from the same domain and her general flexibility with artifacts, she is by far one of the most resin efficient characters to set up. Now what about her weapon? If you don't have her signature weapon, 1000 Floating Dreams, then the best weapon for her is the Witsit, closely followed by any weapon with elemental mastery, like Wandering Evenstar or Sacrificial Fragments. But even the 3-star weapon, Magic Guide, can be quite useful in her very capable hands. Before I move on to the how of Nahida, you might be wondering what constellations are recommended. Well, she does work extremely well at C0, so if you would rather save your Primogems, don't feel like you have to go after any of her constellations. However, she can become much more powerful as early as C2. Her first constellation, the Seed of Stored Knowledge, makes her burst always count one of each element type that her burst can receive a bonus for, regardless of the makeup of your group. This means that you will receive the first bonus of all element types, and will only need one more to get the 2-set bonus. This does make her a bit more powerful, but she becomes next level when you unlock her next constellation. Any opponent currently affected by Nahida's skill can now receive crit hits from Burning, Bloom, Hyperbloom, and Burgeon reactions. This is the only way for these reactions to score a crit hit. However, the crit rate and damage are fixed at 20% and 100% respectively. Her C2 will also reduce opponents' defense by 30% when they are affected by Quicken, Aggravate, or Spread reactions. This is by far her most sought after constellation. But all of her constellations are very good, so if you're a whale, you won't be disappointed in C6 Nahida. I only have her at C0, and she is my best character. So again, if you can't afford to get any of her constellations, don't feel like you need to. She will still be very good even with 0 constellations. So now you might be wondering, how much damage can she do? She can deal much more damage than I'm able to demonstrate, but the highest single hit I've been able to do with her is around 69,000. That I know of at least. The nice thing is that she is capable of consistently throwing out large amounts of damage, because her Tri-Karma purification can be triggered every 2.5 seconds. In order to demo her damage, this is the setup that I used. Keep in mind that she gets a crit rate boost for her Tri-Karma effect based on her EM, but if you want to try this setup, I recommend you aim for a 1-to-2 crit rate to crit damage ratio instead, as that will be much more consistent. In order to get the maximum bonus of 250 EM from her passive talent, I have Fischl equipped with some EM artifacts. Bennett is set up with the Instructor's artifact set to further boost Nahida's EM, and the Dendro Traveler is set up with Deepwood Memories to shred Dendro resistance. And if you're really curious, here are Nahida's stats when all the bonuses are active, including everyone's artifacts and bursts. So this is one example of a team that Nahida works really well in, but you might be wondering, what other teams can I use with her? Well, I have good news. If you have any other character, she is going to work well with them. She is probably the most versatile character when it comes to team building. There's this Hyperbloom team with Lisa, the Electro Traveler, and Barbara. You can put her in a Burgeon National team, a Melt team, like this one with Rosaria, Bennett, and Sucrose. She can even make the characters that struggle to find a role much more viable, like this Burgeon team with Dia, Candace, and Barbara, or even this one with Chi-Chi, Lisa, and Singsho. You're probably thinking, okay, but there's no way she works well with Geo. I think she can work quite well actually. This Hyper Bloom team with Ito, Barbara, and Shinobu is a ton of fun, and Ito works really well with this team. You can even swap him out for Noelle, or whoever your favorite Geo character is. Even this physical melt team works really well with Nahida. You already saw how well she can work with a Dendro support unit in the group, but she can work extremely well off-field as well, like in this other Hyper Bloom team with Al-Haytham, Singsho, and Shinobu. To be honest, the best role for Nahida is an off-field DPS unit, but she's so versatile that she will work in nearly any team you can throw together. This is mostly because any reaction will trigger her Trikarma purification damage. In this example, I didn't even bother to put any artifacts on anyone other than maybe Nahida, I think? I forget. But that's why the damage multipliers are so low. But still, even if you swirl Cryo or cause Crystallize with Geo, it will still trigger Nahida's Trikarma effect. So you can probably see why she is one of, if not the, most versatile and powerful character that Genshin Impact has to offer. Now, do I recommend all of these groups that I showed? No, but you do you. If you really want to do a Nahida Cryo Swirl Crystallize team, then more power to you. I won't judge you. The point of playing games is to have fun anyways. But generally speaking, the best group for Nahida is a Hyper Bloom team with Singsho and Shinobu. You can also use Yelan or the Raiden Shogun as substitutes, or in combination with Singsho and Shinobu. Because Nahida works so well with just two other characters, it's really up to you on who to put in the last spot. But you can really use any Electro and Hydro character with Nahida, and she will be amazing. Just keep in mind that Dendro reactions such as Hyper Bloom scale with the character level in addition to Elemental Mastery. So if you need a reason to justify getting a character to rank 90, this could be a good one. I tried to let the examples that I use speak for themselves, but this is one character that I highly recommend wishing for. So to summarize why you should pull for her, she is super simple and efficient to build, she works in any team you can imagine, she can help gather useful materials in the overworld, she does most of her damage with the Trikarma effect from her skill, which works off-field and lasts for a very generous 25 seconds, she has what I think are the cutest animations, but most importantly, she's afraid mushrooms will start to grow on your head if you stay out in the rain for too long.
Quick, let's find shelter where mushrooms will start growing on our heads.
So even though I recommend pulling for Nahida, don't feel like you have to. She will always have a rerun, and there are other characters that you can use instead of her, in most groups that is. Even the Dendro Traveler is an amazing substitute for Nahida. Really one of the few groups that I can think of where you'd really want Nahida over any other Dendro character would be with Cyno. She can immensely help Cyno out, mostly because she's very good at applying Dendro, and her skill lasts for a very long time. But who knows, that may end up changing when we get more Dendro characters. Now there is one more very important thing that I have yet to mention. Just 2 videos ago I set a goal to be over 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2023, and it seems like every time I set a goal, you all completely destroy it. Thank you so much. My new goal is to be over 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. This is just crazy to me, but I am honestly so grateful to have so many amazing people be subscribed to my channel. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much. So what do you think about Nahida? Will you wish for her now that you've successfully passed Nahida 101? Let me know in the comments. I really want to know how many of you are going to wish for her, and what you think about Nahida. I really hope you enjoy this type of video. I plan to have another one coming out soon on Nilou. But thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, and help me hit my goal of 10,000 subscribers. I'll catch you in the next one. Subscribe.